It's time to follow up on the riding the reset is dumb video, which I do think it is dumb. There's a lot of good comments on there and a lot of fodder for conversation. So I'm going to read one of the comments to you that I think is pretty good. Trigger reset or click banging is a law enforcement firearms training institutional inbreeding technique that was taught for years and really screwed up officers getting into performance shooting. Just stop that shit. You will never get faster, and it causes people to have too much input from the firing hand in lieu of just isolating the trigger finger. No bueno. Okay, I mean, that's a pretty good comment, and I think a lot of people, like me, would largely agree with that, where there's like, yeah, that is not what we want to tell people to do. But there's one comment in particular. I want to read this, and this will be interesting to deconstruct because it's going to show like kind of the philosophical difference here, all right? Here's the comment. Riding the reset isn't about shooting fast. It's about shooting slowly and therefore more accurately. It's much easier to teach new shooters this method to instill a smooth trigger pull. It also works to instill in shooters to confirm their sights before pulling the trigger. In gunfights, we almost never see shooters shoot slow. We also see them miss a lot. Okay, so this is interesting to just go back through this and parse this comment out because there's a lot to talk about there. Because when he says riding the reset isn't about shooting fast. So just so we're clear, pull trigger, boom, gun goes off, let it out, click, click, there we go. And just to the reset point, now we'll roll back in and fire the next shot. Is that considered a fast technique? I mean, some guys would think it's about doing it fast. In the context this guy's talking about, this should be shooting slower. But he says it's about shooting slowly and therefore more accurately. Now that's an idea that a lot of people have. I get it. A lot of people think that speed and accuracy are opposing forces. And if you think they're competing efforts, they will be. But no, what we want is we want to shoot very fast and very accurately. We want to do both. And when you stop considering them to be competing efforts, I think you really start growing as a shooter. But now's where it gets interesting. He says it's much easier to teach new shooters this method to instill a smooth trigger pull. Okay, so what he's talking about is you have guys, whatever, you're training a bunch of people, law enforcement agency or like whatever, like a bunch of people. Okay, guys are shanking shots, whatever. You can come over and give them like, hey, no. Like you want them to pull the trigger more carefully. You want them to pay attention. This is a good thing. Like, hey, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, so it's going to be boom, gun goes off, let it out to the reset. Okay, press again, boom, gun goes off. So you want them to pay attention to pulling the trigger straight, which is a good thing. I don't think anyone's saying that bad. But then the solution that you give them is, hey, ride the reset. All right, now, like me and other people are saying, this can cause problems down the line when you try to get into shooting faster, shooting more aggressively, performance type shooting. You want to train beyond just passing the qual, whatever. Down the road, I think a lot of people understand trying to ride the reset causes problems as you try to go faster. Okay, so this is the issue for me is where I look at this and it's like, all right, yeah, I want the guy to pay attention to pulling the trigger more, smoothly. Why don't I just tell him something else, something other than, hey bro, like ride the reset? That'll get him to pay attention to pulling the trigger smoother in a lot of cases, but I could just tell him something else, like say, hey man, like let's do this drill, this trigger control at speed drill. You're gonna aim at a spot, then you get the stimulus to fire, and you gotta pull the trigger immediately without moving anything. We could do that. Or we could come over and I'll talk about isolating his trigger finger. Like when somebody's holding the pistol, I'll like touch his hand right here. See these muscles, you got to hold these quiet while you're shooting. You just want to move your finger. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it works where they'll have their finger on the trigger and I'll put my finger on their finger. I'm like, hey dude, don't help me pull the trigger. I just want to roll back in here so you can feel what I'm doing. And like boom, and the shots go right where the guy's got the gun pointed or whatever. I could try 100 different things, like 100, right? To get the guy to pull the trigger straight. But what I don't want to do is tell him something that's going to limit him down the road. So it won't be, nah, bro, ride the reset, or nah, bro, you got to prep and then press. It's like, no, because that stuff can be limiting down the road. So I will not tell them that stuff. I will just tell them other stuff to try to get them to pull the trigger straight. All right, I don't see the reason to go down this like reset riding road. All right, but that's me. Like the fact that you can get the results you want on that day, you could get the guys to pass the qual, having them ride the reset. That doesn't mean that much to me because I want to set people up to get as good as possible. All right, the last part of this comment's interesting. In gunfights, we almost never see shooters shoot slow. We also see them miss a lot. So here we have a guy who's like carrying water for this institutional training. It's like, hey, we do riding the reset to get the guys to shoot accurate, and it gets them to confirm their sights. Okay, like so we do that, and it works really good. And then, but if we look at the result, like for when they're shooting for real, they're doing it they're missing a lot, and they're shooting fast, and they're missing a lot. And it's like, yeah, that would be our point. Like the guys over like with me, as far as practical training or performance training, I kind of embrace this where it's like, yeah, like when you're shooting for real, it's going to be fast, like shooting for score, whatever, some kind of defensive, whatever. When people get put under pressure and they have to shoot, they tend to go way faster than they do in training. So why not have the training reflect the speed of what you're going to be doing, and then work to get the hits at the speed that's realistic. Because what this guy's talking about here is like, yeah, we're just going to have people go through this ballistic masturbation thing. They're just going to like ride the reset, put him in the middle, shoot slow, cool. And then it's like, yeah, but that's not what's going to happen. It's like, you understand all of these things and you're still wanting to like have people ride the reset. Like it is demented to me. It's demented. Anyway, that's enough about this. I think riding the reset is dumb, no doubt. But the larger issue here is that you should adopt techniques, mindsets, like ways of doing things that allow you to grow well into the future. And stuff that you know is limiting, just don't do that stuff. It's my take anyway.